Hi everyone, Fiona the Clean Kitchen Coach here today to teach you how to make salsa. But first, I have to tell you where I am. I am on a houseboat in Lake of the Woods. There's only one bowl sink, which is not ideal for me, but we're making do, so we have to really be cautious to clean up as we go. The work triangle here is not ideal also because we've got our sink and our stove, and then over here is our fridge. So I think it would be really cool if the fridge was over here because then your triangle would be tight. But as it is, this kitchen is actually super fun to work in because look at my view. I don't love doing dishes, but on a houseboat, that is a totally different story. I can just relax, take my time, have the most fantastic view ever. Today we are making a salsa, but we're not going to use a recipe, we're going to use a method instead. The very first thing that we need to do when making salsa is kind of make a little bit of a dressing. So we're going to take our lime, which is very, very, very soft already, but if we wanted to make it even softer, we would roll it. And then we are going to take our knife and pierce the skin of the lime. And then, see, I've got that pierce in there. And after that, I can slice it really easily. I'll just show you that it's not much fun to try to slice like this, like it doesn't really work. So that piercing is the way to go. Do it. And then we use our citrus press, and we're going to have our container handy and juice our lime. Because it's a method, not a recipe, you don't have to use lime. You could use the lemon, you could use apple cider vinegar. Anything tangy is going to work.
Acids to use in salsa: lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice, red wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar, rice vinegar.
Of course, you guys know that I'm going to put garlic in there because I put garlic in everything. Whatever a normal person would put in there, I'm going to double that. So to work with your garlic, handy tip is to smack it, and that's going to divide all of your cloves. And also what you could do is throw this into a jar with a lid and shake it, and that's going to take the skins off. Or you could cut this in and then hold, like you're holding the knife and the skin, and it'll peel, and then do the opposite side. You're gonna go not all the way through. So your knife is actually gripping the skin of the garlic, and then you roll it away. There's a couple ways to dice this garlic now. We could, if we wanted, cut it very thinly like this. So you're making slices, and then the opposite way. And then like that. So notice how I'm holding my knife, a pinched hold on the blade, and then I've wrapped my 3 fingers around the handle. I've got a really sturdy grip on it when I do it like that. If I'm holding it like this, it's very wobbly, and my knife is really sharp. The sharper the knife is, the less likely it is to cut yourself. You're going to always make sure to keep your fingers out of the way. So if you put your blade against your knuckles and you turn them in and your thumb is tucked behind your fingers, then there's no chance of cutting your fingers. Okay, and then the tip of your knife goes down onto the cutting board and you roll it over your garlic. Now, this is not my favorite way to do garlic. I'll show you my favorite way. Put it into a garlic press. So I remember watching a video on professional cooks, and they were asked what was the dumbest tool that you've ever seen in a kitchen, and guess what all the chefs agreed were? It was this. This, they said, was totally unnecessary, that you just use a knife. But I've been working as a cook for a long time now, and I've never actually figured out how to use a knife and get the taste of the garlic as good as it does when it comes out of the press. So full disclosure, everyone, I don't eat sugar and I don't eat meat. And I thought this houseboat rental with 3 people who do eat meat and sugar wouldn't be hard because I'm not tempted by that stuff. But it is incredibly tempting to eat that kind of stuff when everyone around you is in such a small space. So the lesson that I'm taking from that is to bring more food with me when we do this again, because I didn't bring enough food, so I'm feeling hungry, and then when my friends are eating, I'm like, oh, that looks so good. All right, because it is a salsa, the spice that I'm going to use is cumin. If you don't like cumin, what do? You don't use it. If you love cumin, what do? Use more of it. We're not measuring anything. This is a method, not a recipe. I always bring my salt, pepper, garlic with me.
Salts to use in salsa: Himalayan sea salt, dulse flakes, olives, capers, nutritional yeast, tamari.
How much am I putting in there? I don't know. I just pour until it looks good. Not too much though, because I can always add more later, but I can't take it away. Oh, then the trick for your onion is the root end is your friend. So you want to keep that intact. You are going to grip your knife, claw your fingers. This is very, very hard for me because I can't quite bend my finger. So with the root end intact, you're going to cut through it. Oh, a trick if you didn't want your onion to be so strong in flavor is to let it soak in some ice water for a few minutes, and that'll make it not so pungent. Okay, so we sliced it, and now the root down to the non-root. What do you call that? The top. So your knife goes in, slice down, and see how, because we kept the root there, it's keeping your onion together for you. When you're making salsa, your vegetables and your fruit, you want to cut into very, very small dices.
Fruits and veggies to use in salsa: tomatoes, beets, cucumbers, bell peppers, onions, strawberries, blueberries, apples, peaches, grapes, avocado, jicama, radishes, corn, beans.
As small as you possibly can. And that's going to allow a little bit of everything to get onto your cracker or your chip or your vegetable. This is not something that you do in a hurry, for sure. Nice and small. That onion is going to be pretty potent, pretty pungent, so I'm not going to use too much of it. So just to recap, we have an onion in there with some garlic, with some lime juice, and some salt, pepper, and garlic. Usually with a salsa, you would put some cilantro or fresh parsley in there, but I forgot to bring some in. So I thought, what do I have instead? And I had some fresh dill. So I've never made fresh salsa with fresh dill, so we'll see how it goes, but I imagine that it's pretty good. And again, because you're not using a recipe, you're using a method, you get to be playful with your food like that.
Fresh herbs to use in salsa: cilantro, parsley, dill, tarragon, chives, mint, basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary.
You want to be careful not to damage them. They bruise easily. Wrap them up as tightly as you can. And then you could use scissors too. That would be really smart to cut them as fine as you possibly could. Oh, it smells so good, guys. It's fresh dill. It's amazing. Basically what we've made is a salad dressing, right? Without any fat or thickener in it, because we've got that acid and the salt and the fresh herbs. Always when we make something, the liquid goes on the bottom. So the dressing goes on the bottom, and then that way the heavier vegetables go on top, and it's just easier to mix it when you have the sauce in there first. We are doing a tomato salsa, and you don't have to use tomato in a salsa, but you can use mango. I did that the other day. It was fantastic. Or you could use some beets, which would be really healthy for your blood. If you are using a tomato, what you do is you cut an X in it, and then you throw it into a frying pan, and you could do this with any size tomato, and you throw it into a 500-degree oven until the skins get all wrinkly, and then they just fall off. So let me show you that. All right, so I did make some of these ahead of time so that I could show you how this is done. Now, if you want to cool these off, because we have to peel the skin, and if they just came out of a 500-degree oven, they're going to be really hot, right? So what you do is you spread it out in a cool spot. So if you wanted to keep something warm, you would bulk it all together, keep a lid on it, keep it in a warm place, but because we want to cool it off, we're going to put it in a cooler spot, so like by an open window, and we're going to spread it out, and we're going to make sure that nothing's covering it. And that's going to cool it off really quickly. And then you just pick them up, and the skin just rolls right off of there. And you're going to throw that into our salsa. Okay, so there's our salsa. Now if you wanted, you could put some peppers in there, or some jalapeno, whatever you feel like putting in your salsa. Just make sure that it's diced up really fine, and you're gonna have a fantastic salsa. Plate this up, and then we're gonna give it a taste and see what salsa made with dill instead of cilantro or parsley tastes like. All right, guys, how delicious does that look? I have 3 people here. Maybe they'll be willing to go on camera and test it. But first, I'm gonna try it. It's messy, but it's absolutely delicious. You guys have to try dill salsa.
Mmm. That is so good.
Delicious.
It was delicious. Is the dill. Alright guys, I want you to pay attention because I'm going to be making more videos teaching you how to cook using methods instead of recipes so that you can have fun being creative in the kitchen, no matter where your kitchen happens to be.